This section gives a brief introduction to controllers and commands. Even though controller is not a part of original MVVM pattern, it is used in conjunction with the view model to encapsulate logic. On top of this diagram, you can see the original concept of MVVM. In uFrame, however, the logic is not stored on the view model. Instead, whenever you execute a command, it is delegated to the corresponding controller. Game logic can be quite heavy, but your view model keeps being very lightweight since all the heavy logic is in the controller. Any controller starts with a special method called initialize and your element name. Whenever you create a view model using controller.create your element name, in my case this .create bGameRoot, this method is invoked, and you can define any initialization logic here. In this diagram, I have a building system which exposes globally registered instance of building manager. My bGameRoot is stored inside the building game system, which is connected with the building system. That is why in the controller I have an access to the globally registered instance of the building manager. Additionally, controllers can take advantage of dependency injection, which is a topic for another tutorial. But the most important ability of any controller is command handling. This will be discussed in details later in this tutorial. When designing an element, you can define commands. Commands are tightly connected with the controllers. Intuitively, command serves as a trigger for some portion of logic defined in your controller. If your logic requires any input, you can pass an object of a certain class. Just click left of your command name and pick up a type. In my case, it's going to be Boolean. When you define a command on your element, a command handler is generated in the controller base. You can modify it by going to the corresponding controller and overriding the method with the same name as your command. In my case, I have two commands, command 1 and command 2. So let me go ahead and override those. Both handlers receive a sender. This is a view model on which you have executed a command. Additionally, second command receives a Boolean argument. You can be very creative inside of those handlers and modify the view model instance and any other environment. This is where you store the core logic of your game. Executing command is very simple. However, the process can be slightly different in different parts of the code. Here is a little table which will help us, and let's start with the view. Here I got a view called JustAnElement view, which works with a view model of JustAnElement. If I open up the code and just paste in some dummy method, my autocomplete will show me that I got methods called execute command 1, and it receives no arguments. And I also got execute command 2, which receives a Boolean. Because JustAnElement view works with the JustAnElement view model, uFrame generated some helpers for us, and you can use those to execute commands on the linked view model instance. But sometimes you want to execute command on another instance, which is not linked to this view. So let's say I got a turret view model from nowhere, and I want to execute kill command on this turret. So what I do is this dot execute command, turret.kill command, and a possible argument here, which can be null. Sometimes you will want to execute commands right from the controller. So let's go to JustAnElement controller, and here in the initialize method, I can do this dot execute command, and I can provide a command here. Let's say it's command 2, and I can provide a possible object argument. Let's say it's false. And once I do so, this handler will be invoked because this just_an_element instance is linked to this controller. And this is how you execute any command. So to sum up, commands just serve to handle the logic, and this is a good place to change some variables on your view model or communicate with the environment.